the far-flung reaches of the YouTube galaxy. It's the Outer Rim!
Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Rob.
And this is D.
Smirking gun. That's D.
Darrin from D's
He's behind
Reviews.
me somehow. Don't ask me how that works. That over there. I can't do it. For those of you who saw the part 1 bumper, the little ending, this is even more awkward than that one. And we're recording this at the exact same time. So this is the beginning of our big old, technically it's like our real first episode. The first episode is just, watching us knuckleheads talk to you guys about things. And this is the first one that we're doing where real subject on, and not just kind of a broad view of anything. This one we're focusing on a topic. But we had so much fun and we had a big number to get to. We decided to split it up into 2 parts because we don't want these to run forever. Even, if you know my channel, I don't mind making 2.5-hour videos, 3-hour videos. Check out Big Trouble in Little China. It's pretty new. So here we are starting with number 8, and I'll let us keep going. So have a good one. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, smash those buttons. And, don't smash your buttons. It's dangerous. Don't listen to people that tell you to smash buttons. It's not good for your computer or your phone. So, I'm just kidding. Smash them if you want to. All right. Enjoy.
Number 8. Religion and ruling elite tied together. Unlike
separation of church and state, my ass. What a giant myth that is.
Yeah. Unlike communist regimes, fascist and proto-fascist regimes were never proclaimed as godless by their opponents. No, the Nazis were Christian, folks. In fact,
were backed by the Catholic Church.
Yes. Most of the regimes attached themselves to the predominant religion of the country and chose to portray themselves as militant defenders of that religion. In fact, that the ruling elite's behavior was incompatible with the precepts of religion was generally swept under the rug. Propaganda kept up the illusion that the ruling elites were defenders of the faith and the opponents as the godless. A perception was manufactured that opposing power elite was tantamount to an attack on the religion. Yeah.
The Christian fucking shit has been going on forever. It is always a victim. I come from a cult that went door to door on Saturdays and during the week and ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And we were the worst things ever, right? Trying to convince people to live in a paradise on earth with the animals like a Disney movie.
Seems so quaint.
But the Christians, but you never hear them going, oh my God, we're being so persecuted. I mean, every religion has that aspect to it. But none like the run-of-the-mill Christian crap that is just any type of pushback in it is, it makes me wish.
War on Christmas?
I wish sometimes I could see into the past when the Christians were getting thrown to the lions just to get a chuckle at this point. Because the victimization of this crap, because we don't want to hear your crap. Freedom of religion should be freedom from religion.
Yes.
Okay, you want to believe that we're all walking on, we're on top of a giant turtle floating on a comet, and and it's all like in the Matrix. I don't care. All right, just as long as you don't stifle anyone else. And when anybody disagrees with you about this, it's suddenly, I said Merry Christmas to somebody, and they were like, "Fuck you." That's somebody's right, man. That's somebody's right. You don't have to like it.
It's worse than that. Someone said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, and I'm offended.
When at the same time, folks, that you believe that stuff, you don't even believe in Jesus anymore, right? Let's come to terms with that. You wanna claim Christian persecution? First, you have to actually be Christians.
Yeah,
because you're not Christ-like. You were the absolute opposite, and then you just make things up, just like how the co-opted word of woke, right? Everything is just co-opted and changed to fit the Christian belief, and that this country was based on Christianity. No, it was based on a bunch of motherfuckers who were chased out of their country. Like, they couldn't take it anymore, and they came here, and then they started the same shit here.
Yeah.
It's
Protestantism is the largest religion in the country by far.
Yeah.
No one is saying you can't practice it.
Yeah.
No one is saying any of that. But we have the right to not practice it if we don't want to, or to practice something else, or to practice nothing.
And me think the lady doth protest too much, because when people protest too much about certain things, whether it's abortion or being gay or whatever, it usually means that you are just pissed off that because of what you believe, you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Well, then guess what? If you want to do those things, just do those things and stop calling yourself that. But we have to hedge our bets because there might be an afterlife. And if somebody's writing, but if somebody's checking the list, you know, like Santa, think about what you're doing right now. You really think that the crap you're doing, there's a guy, a magical space wizard up there who's tabulating your sins and going, oh yeah, you guys are all good. You guys are, you guys are on the right track. Get honest with yourselves and realize that that guy, if he exists, which I don't believe he does, he doesn't want anything to do with you.
Yeah. If that's the list that I need to get into heaven, I ain't getting there, man. I will not do that. I'm going to try and be a good person, as good a person as I can, and get in on whatever. And hey, whatever happens afterwards happens. But I'm living my life because I think that's the way you live. You should live your life and treat other people, not because I'm trying to buy fire insurance to be sure I get to heaven and not hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll throw out a couple of examples. We'll move on to the next one. Those are just all the general stuff. But let's see. Specifics. February 2025, Trump established the White House Faith Office to promote and support faith-based initiatives and access to federal grants and funding. Included many provisions, including an anti-Christian bias task force to make recommendations to him regarding changes to policies, program, and practice, and to consult with outside experts in combating anti-Semitic and anti-Christian forms of religious bias. Now, other presidencies have had White House faith offices as well, and usually they are staffed with a variety of people from different faiths in order to provide a balanced, input. This one is headed by two right-wing Christian nationalists with no other faith represented. Guess what the advice is going to be given from that office? Let's see. The Washington Post on September 22nd, 2025 wrote, Charlie Kirk's memorial service was a melding of religion and politics unlike any ever seen before. Or perhaps it was proof the line they used to separate, proof that the line that used to separate them, church and state, may no longer exist, especially on the right. Speeches given during Kirk's memorial by Trump, Stephen Miller, and others in the administration repeatedly espoused the need for God and Christianity in particular to be further paired with policy. GOP congressmen have also thrown out ideas to put Charlie Kirk on a U.S. coin. Now, the biggest one, of course, is Project 2025, folks. Remember when Trump said, I don't know nothing about Project 2025. And then this week, he put out a video talking about Russ Vought as of Project 2025 fame in giant capital letters. Yeah. Well, Project 2025 was a plan on how to restructure the federal government put together by the ultra-conservative Heritage Foundation and intended to serve as a blueprint for the incoming Trump administration on amassing and holding executive power. It's effectively a Christian nationalist manifesto on how to restructure the federal government to consolidate executive power in favor of right-wing policies, including removing employee protections and making all federal employees at will, thus fireable at any time, vetting all staff for loyalty. It's the backbone of the changes Trump has instituted. And we can underscore this by the fact, again, as confirmed by Trump's recent tweets, that Project 2025 chief architect Russell Vought, a self-described Christian nationalist who advocates that America is a nation under God, is currently the head of the Office of Management and Budget. That's the nerve center of the executive branch where all decisions and policy implementations are made. It's that quiet little room nobody thinks about that actually has the largest effect on policy and structure of the executive branch of the federal government. Oh, Trump's also published his own Bible.
Made in China.
Yeah. Like his shirts and his hats.
It's only like, should only read it while you're holding it upside down.
Yeah. Because
Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation is basically the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
It used to be a show. Then these guys are the real deal.
And if you guys have any questions, I have a copy of Project 2025. You can actually find it on the internet. But if anybody wants, email us or put a little note down there, or if I can, I'll throw a link in the description to my copy if you ever want to go over it. It's freaking chilling.
These are the people that are the Nazis.
Yeah.
These are the guys that haven't poked, they don't like to poke their heads out too often. They like being the shadow guys, okay? They like being the cigarette smoking man sitting in a back room with making policy and hiding from because these are the people, the place at the Heritage Foundation that should have 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 people every day outside that place protesting. If there's a place that needs to go, that's a place.
And it's through them and the Federal Society that we've gotten our last 3 Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch,
These
Kavanaugh,
are the worst men in the country.
Well, Barrett's
there's a lot of bad people in the world,
but these are the worst.
These are the guys that they're not scary. They're not scary physically. Their ideas are the scariest ideas because they are insane people.
I will bet good money that a number of them have their own Nazi memorabilia collections.
Oh, yeah. They are the people who, like, again, this is all about, like, and I used to think that this was just like the last gasp of the last generation. But, like, again, because they're so terrified of a world that moves on without them, that could progress without them, that could be better without them, without their philosophies being put in place, that the world could actually be a better place. And we have these kind of people trying to bring that down. It is, to me, the most dangerous thing we've faced since. I don't know if we've ever faced anything. It's insidious and evil.
Well, that's it. I think it's the most dangerous group of America because their whole point is to remove what we have traditionally defined America as, the melting pot, a nation of immigrants, an area where we're all faiths and representatives. It is the collection of all of us that makes it better. It is our diversity that makes us stronger. To me, has been always the legend of America. And for them,
in their world, we're the slaves.
Yeah.
We're the ones who will be, when they're in charge and they've blown up half of a fucking America to do it, we're the ones that are going to be working to keep their asses where they want to be. It won't be minorities because there won't be any minorities.
Yeah.
And the women subjugated.
And again, that's the ultimate role. You get rid of the immigrants, then you get rid of the blacks, get rid of the gays, you get rid of the Latinos, you get rid of, well, you're going to have to keep getting rid of somebody. There always has to be an enemy. Always must be an enemy. If you get rid of the ones that you have, you will make up new ones. And that is why fascism always burns itself out. Number 9. Power of corporations protected. Although the personal life of ordinary citizens was under strict control, the ability of large corporations to operate in relative freedom was not compromised. The ruling elite saw the corporate structure as a way to not only ensure military production in developed states, but also as an additional means of social control. Members of the economic elite were often pampered by the political elite to ensure a continued mutuality of interests, especially in the repression of have-not citizens. Yeah. Well, in Donald Trump's world, and maybe this may be the particular American tweak of fascism, it's really a pay for play. If donate to Donald Trump, get benefits, bring gifts, get free reign, settle lawsuits, pay him big bucks, your merger's approved. Open the door for AI and tech firms. Why? Because they were all right behind him in his inauguration, because they were giving him money. Give him money, give him gifts. But Apple was facing tariffs until Tim Apple, as Trump calls him, because the guy thinks that everybody is the name of their corporation or country, like Mr. Japan, Mr. Toyota. But yeah, what was it? They were facing tariffs, and then Tim Cook comes to the White House office, gives him a 24-karat gold thing with a piece of glass on it, saying, well, this is the new Apple glass we're doing here. And suddenly, tariff exemption. And this is just the blatant stuff. There's also been a policy of removing all regulations that aren't needed. In fact, they're doing a hack and slash policy. They shuttered the Consumer Protection Board, which had an excellent rate in fighting banks and reducing fees, saved Americans millions of dollars. That's gone now because, hey, we don't want someone saying we can't up your credit card rates. In fact, I've personally seen this as a business, seeing rates and policies and stuff suddenly skyrocket because nobody can stand up against them. What are you going to do? There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to complain against. And there's nobody right now in the government listening to you anyway, because it's shut down because they don't want to give you health care. Yeah, this is an opening to oligarchy, which works very well in a fascistic regime because corporate power controls the masses. If people are just working, they can't protest against you. If they're in debt, they can't afford to stand up against you. And that gives more power to the corporate elite, which will just fund your damn presidential library.
Well, it's always been the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
This country there were power structures back in the American Revolutionary days. The gold rush was just who could get the gold first and how much of it could they control. Mm-hmm. Who could plant their flags here, who could build this railroad and control this, control that. And then came the laws that they got their, a bunch of people got the law degrees and they got hired by places, and suddenly all these laws started getting passed and put out there to protect corporations from any kind of legislation, any kind of brakes that would be put on that would make, that would limit, because it's all this capitalism. Everybody's free to make as much as possible and then screw everyone else out. And there's really no way of getting out of it at this point, as far as like the laws protect all of them. So what do? How do you fight that when everything is controlled by the very few people that just capitulate? Why are they capitulating? Because it's the easiest way for them. It's open doors, and money is nothing to them. It's only it's the what they get from it.
Yeah.
And Trump is just the maitre d'. He's just the guy who lets you in the door, except he keeps the money. He doesn't give it to the guy who runs the restaurant, which is us. We're the owners. But the maitre d' keeps it. He lets everybody in and just goes, go ahead, run rampant, do whatever the hell you want. But if you don't give me what I want, if you don't slip me the money under the table to get the table that you want, you can't come in. Sorry. Yeah. And I might even sue you for not giving me what I want. That's also the fucking mafia.
Oh, well, who reads freaking terms of services? And then they always change the terms of service, increase rates, and so on. Did you agree with this? No. Well, but you cannot use their service. You pretty much are tied over the board, especially when a lot of these things are necessary for people to work or interact. You've got to agree to certain terms of service, and they will change all that. And you're right. That is kind of the American way. But this is now, again, on steroids. Part of that is you put all the power in the hands of the corporate elite.
And everybody that out there that believes that you're someday it's going to be me, that this is why we voted for him, because I'm going to be a millionaire too. I'm going to keep playing my scratch offs though every single day and have less and less money for myself. But I'm also going to believe that these people deep down, they just want us to be in their club. They don't want anyone in their club. They don't even want some of their own in their club. The more people in their club, the less they have, the less that they can take. There's a hole in these people. There's a gaping hole that they can't fill with anything but more of what you have.
Money is a drug. The more of it you have, the more of it you want. You have never encountered a millionaire or billionaire that said, I'm good, I've got enough. Never. Because the more they get, the more that they want. It's just the way that the world is set up. And we encourage that, because then the more they get, then they get to keep more of it. It's expensive to be poor. It's relatively cheap to be rich, which is a messed up mental state. But it's
you're not
true.
Spending your money.
Yeah. The top 10% of the United States control 64% of consumer spending. When you see the stuff when they're given rates and they're talking about the economy and they're talking about jobs and they're talking about all these things, and these are all for a very small group of people. The bottom 50% of America controls 2.5% of the wealth. 2.5% for the lower 50% of Americans. Guess where the rest of that is? Most of it in the top 1%. I think they have like 34% of the wealth in the United States. More than almost 50% is in the top 10%. 2.5%, lower 50%. But yeah, you're going to be a billionaire. You're going to be a millionaire. You can win the lottery, and that's what it's going to be. Whether it's a job or whether it's the actual lottery, the only way that you're going to do it is if you effectively beat those lottery odds. And that's the messed up thing. Because again, not only are we giving stuff to the corporates, but now we go to number 10. Power of labor suppression. Power of labor suppressed or eliminated. Since organized labor was seen as the one power center that could challenge the political hegemony of the ruling elite and its corporate allies, it was inevitably crushed or made powerless. The poor formed an underclass viewed with suspicion or outright contempt. Under some regimes, being poor was considered akin to a vice. Well, in March 2025, Trump issued an executive order stripping union protections for more than 1 million federal workers. In August 2025, agencies began unilaterally canceling existing collective bargaining agreements with employee unions. He fired thousands of probation employees illegally, and in fact, right now, noticed in the news today, as the government is shut down, he is firing furloughed federal workers. Can't do that, but who's going to stop him since he controls the courts and the cops? May 2025.
And again, how is that not the fucking mafia?
Yeah. Oh, no, this is total mafia rule. I mean, this is the American flag. That's what we will get at is when you think fascism, you think Nazi. I need you to start thinking maggot. Make America great again types, for short. Because we have our own particular flavor of fascism in this country. May 2025, Office of Personnel issued a memorandum that established a test of loyalty to President Trump for Americans who apply to work for the federal government. That is, let me repeat that. You want to work for the federal government now? You must pass a loyalty test. Not to the Constitution, to Donald Trump. He's removed or fired numerous officers from the National Labor Relations Board to the point that they can't establish a quorum and thus cannot decide any new cases brought up to the National Labor Relations Board. Basically shuttered it. Trump has publicly remarked he believed that striking workers could be fired. In fact, was a huge supporter of Elon Musk's firing of workers. Yeah, go ahead, do that. His immigration rates and policies have chilled any complaints on workplace issues in those industries as well. The removal of federal protections from, I mean, we don't think a lot of the assault on private industry workers, but the federal government is the single largest union remaining in the United States. By removing federal protections and basically treating them all at least, he has basically taken away any teeth that those union members have, and thus have massively decreased their ability to fight, decreased their ability to collectively bargain. And by firing them, he is forcing them into the private sector, where again, not a lot of unions, and most of the states, especially red states, are all at-will employment, which means we can hire and fire you for any damn reason they want, or no reason. They can just fire you. So now you got to toe the corporate line if you want to keep your job. And that's another form of oppression, and an extremely effective one.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to working in this country, everybody is there. From my own experience and what I've seen from people around me, I mean, I have had a billion jobs in my life. I've had all kinds of jobs, and I have never felt more unsafe than I have right now. People are, this is by design. Part of this is by design. We used to be stand-up jokes about people living together. And now families all have to move back in together because just to survive, because jobs are so hard to come by. And when you have no protection at your job, when a job can just knows that it doesn't have to give you raises, because where else are you going to go?
Right.
We've got you. And I know somebody close to me right now that is trying to do something on their own. And I don't have the heart to tell them that that is probably not going to work, because you will be squeezed out by people that are already there. Mm-hmm. And they won't mean you any harm, but it's dog eat dog. And it's because of things like this that it's like this, that you can't just have mom and pop places anymore, really. You can't have little startups to just get by and think that this is going to be how, you know, your job for the rest of your life.
Oh God, the job you can keep your whole life and retire with benefits.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah. And it's so interesting that the people who have retired and have gotten their benefits are the ones screaming about how bad America is.
Yeah. And by the way, government jobs are one of the few remaining that actually will allow you to retire with a pension and support. Yeah. So by getting rid of those, that is even more people with less of a chance for an actual retirement. Yeah. And more likely working for the rest of your life.
I mean, basically you have to lie, right? People are lying then if they want a federal job. You have to sit there and lie and just to pay your bills. You got to go in there and capitulate to this toad, this human vacuous excrement, every word, every terrible word, just to like live, because this guy's insecurities are nth level shit, man. He is an empty hole of vacuous nothing.
And nothing is ever going to fill that.
Nope. A loyalty test. I that is just.
Yeah. I mean, it is anathema to everything we believe that this country is about, how I was raised for this country to be about. And I shudder that we are in that state now. Okay, number 11, disdain and suppression of intellectuals and the arts. Intellectuals and the inherent freedom of ideas and expression associated with them were anathema to these regimes. Intellectual and academic freedom were considered subversive to national security and the patriotic ideal. Universities were tightly controlled, politically unreliable faculty harassed and eliminated. Unorthodox ideas or expressions of dissent were strongly attacked, silenced, or crushed. To these regimes, art and literature should serve as the national interest, or they had no right to exist. Trump took over the Kennedy Center and fired the entire board because he believed the shows were too woke, and then had himself named chair. Do we need to go into the attacks on Columbia, Harvard, the entire University of California, multiple other universities for being too woke, too DEI, not enough conservative voices or professors, insisted that these universities establish a new position to oversee and approve all classes and courseworks, or they would restrict or remove federal funding. Columbia caved. Most others are fighting, but most schools can't survive without the critical education funding that has already been approved and budgeted, and that is the other thing. This money has already been approved. It is being withdrawn by the federal government because they don't agree with what they think you are saying, or that you don't have enough anti-Semitic policies, or that, again, there's too many woke people. You have too much DEI. What does DEI mean? You have black people and you have women.
I mean, they literally are against you waking up to their bullshit.
Yeah, literally. Well, if we shut down the universities, you can't be educated and know how much we're fucking you over. Made changes for grant applications to National Endowment of the Arts to agree not to promote gender identity, according with Trump's anti-trans EEO, and restoring biological truth. March 17th.
If you don't have numbers in your cult, if your religion doesn't have people joining every year, then it's over for them. And that is what this is. This is the last gasp of that shit. This is them realizing that they've lost control, and this is their last chance to assert it again. And that is why it is the most important thing in the world to stand up now. Because we can't let grandma and grandpa and peepaw tell us what to do. All right? This is pure Gen X motherfucker part like happening right now. We can't let the old farts tell us how to live our lives. I got away from a cult because I wasn't going to let anybody tell me how to live my life. And now I'm being put back in a situation, and this is selfish, but it's for everyone. I'm not going back. So if you don't want people telling you what to do, it has to be time to stand up and say, shut the fuck up and get out of our country. It is time to start kicking them out of our country. It is time to start getting rid of the fascists that want to rule you. They can't change my mind, but they are going to try to change your mind. And I'm talking to the youth of America. They want you under their boot. They want you thinking how they think and they'll use any tactic. And that is what is happening. They want you to blame that girl that told you no for a date because you decided that you just want to live like a fat slob on the internet. And that's just one example of how people live their lives. We have to take personal responsibility for our lives, realize that our mistakes are our own. Women aren't the problem. Minorities aren't the problem. All these things that they are telling us are the problem are not the problem. The problem is they don't want to help us solve our problems. Sorry. Oh my God.
Look, I mean, again, I had mentioned before that it's difficult to kind of shorten up because there are so many examples for all of these. It's in the middle of this where I had suddenly remembered the Smithsonian. that he's ordered changes to the Smithsonian exhibits to more closely align with Trump's version of history. The Smithsonian. Yeah, so Jesus. I mean, seriously, it's the dumbest people in the world are trying to convince you that they're smart and they know better. It's just, it hurts. It hurts my brain.
The real war has been on intelligence. And because the education system in this country sucks, and they don't want you actually learning anything. So we got to go after the colleges. We got to go after your free ability to think freely. They have their own colleges.
Yeah.
There are religious colleges. There are colleges that are Republican, very heavy Republican. That's not enough for them. Don't you understand that they don't come for something. They come for everything.
There is no respect for other people's points of view. Period. It is their way or the highway. It is like what we all got upset at Bush saying for that. You're either with us, you're with the terrorists. That's effectively what Trump is saying right now. No, I'm sorry. Literally what Trump is saying right now. Not effectively, literally. Quoted Antifa in roundtable just yesterday. Maybe it was the day before. They don't respect anybody thinking differently, which is why you have to shut down a university, because that is where people learn that there is like other people in the world. A thing called history that happened everywhere, not just here. Brings us to number 12. Obsession with crime and punishment. Most of the regimes maintain draconian systems of criminal justice with huge prison populations. The United States already has the largest prison population in the world per capita. The police were often glorified and had almost unchecked power, leading to rampant abuse. Normal and political crime were often merged into trumped-up criminal charges and sometimes used against political opponents of the regime. Fear and hatred of criminals or traitors was often promoted among population as an excuse for more political power. We've blown up, was it 4 now, Venezuelan boats claiming that they're drug smugglers sending drugs to the United States. Venezuela is 1,200 miles off the coast of the United States and South America. A fishing boat ain't reaching the coast, people. But hey, we can do it because we've decided to do it. Oh, drugs are against us. So against, I don't know, international law, norms, properness, we have illegally murdered these people, claiming.
And we showed it to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like we're proud. Like, you know, it's something you should be proud of.
Oh, Kristi Noem just released a whole AI video of this stuff, highlighting and slowing down. And oh, yeah. ICE, as we mentioned before, has become one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the world. In fact, I think it is. It is the 3rd largest military organization in the world, behind the U.S. military and the Chinese military. U.S. military, Chinese military, ICE. It invades workplaces, homes, schools, places of worship, and community gatherings. They've hidden inside rental vans that usually bear no identifying badges or even clothing, often pulling people right off the streets into unmarked vehicles while in plain clothes. They have taken those apprehended to foreign gulags, such as the El Salvadorian Sikot prison, or into overcrowded, hastily assembled cage prisons, usually with no due process or notification to family or lawyers, as we had mentioned before. We also mentioned, of course, sending the National Guard and the Marines into L.A. specifically and into other cities now to combat crime, despite against the wishes of the mayors and governors, usually of those, and in fact is now sending National Guards from other states into other states. We have Texas National Guards being sent into Illinois. You could call that an invasion. Some people have. But it's definitely against the wishes of that. And I am almost waiting for a state's National Guard, the state to send its National Guard against another state's National Guard while in their state. That's going to happen, folks.
Yep.
See, recently, as of September of this year, in a posting to Trump's own Truth Social post to Pamela Jo Bondi, our Attorney General, calling for the arrest of 3 of his political enemies, Senator Adam Schiff, FBI Director James Comey, and New York AG Letitia James, saying that we can't delay any longer and justice must be served. Now, Eric Siebert, the U.S. Attorney for Virginia, where this was sent, quit instead of filing these charges. Shortly after, he has appointed one of his own lawyers, who was a previous insurance lawyer with no prosecutorial experience, to take over that job, and has since indicted both James Comey and yesterday, I believe it was, Letitia James. Comey for lying to Congress on extremely flimsy and charges that nobody else would pursue, and Letitia James for their favorite thing from their Pulte guy, mortgage fraud, basically saying that they got second houses, saying that was their first house, even though, especially Letitia James, they actually have emails of her specifically sending, this is not my primary residence, in her application. So, and we can say that even the federal prosecutors in those offices don't support this, as nobody else from those offices showed up at either of these grand jury indictments. So this new prosecutor that Trump has put in, again, no prosecutorial experience. She's an insurance lawyer that has brought now these charges against both James Comey and Letitia James. No support from the rest of the offices, the federal prosecutor offices. She was in there alone, which means she's going to have to pursue this alone, and that's going to be just falling on your face type kind of legal procedure. I can't wait to hear on that.
People don't care about their legacy at all.
No.
You know what I mean? As long as I'm remembered somehow, so I guess I'm just going to be remembered as a joke. Okay. Yep. You get to be a joke. These and people are all jokes.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, in our Antifa roundtable that we just had, again, fully pushing, I believe Bondi herself was saying that they're going to pursue Antifa like they have the cartels. I believe
so
those are the ones that
what? Going door to door?
Well, they're blowing up the cartel boats, apparently.
No, I meant if they're going after Antifa like they are the cartel boats. It basically means you're going to have to go up to every door and go, are you a Democrat?
Yeah, and that's, again, and who is Antifa? Antifa is nobody. It's a movement. It is not an organization.
Nope.
But they're already naming, like George Soros's, who they're always going after, but just a number of large Democratic donors. So that is going to harshen any political contribution on that end. And again, it's just like, we're going to go after this Antifa as terrorists. That is the most blanket accusation that you can throw against anyone, because then you can just say, well, they're Antifa. Why? Well, there's no membership card.
It's the same thing as throwing around woke.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It means whatever you want it to mean. In other words. So I can just be like, you know what? I'm against what? What does that mean? Whatever I fucking feel like making it mean. What do you care?
As long as I can put it on a fucking meme and send it out on TikTok and get people talking and moving about it, I can do whatever I want. All right. Almost done here, folks. Number 13. Lucky number 13. What's going to be this one? Rampant cronyism and corruption.
Oof.
Those in business circles and close to the power elite often use their position to enrich themselves. This corruption worked both ways. The power elite would receive financial gifts and property from the economic elite, who in turn would gain the benefits of governmental favoritism. Members of the government elite were in a position to obtain vast wealth from other sources as well. For example, by stealing national resources. With the national security apparatus under control and the media muzzled, this corruption was largely unconstrained and could not well understood by the general population.
Yeah, so basically everything that went on in the first administration, where his kids and anybody like that was married to his kids, all making billions of dollars from the Saudis and everybody else, all the Israeli money that they get, uh, it's and not just them, it's every single person in around just scraping everything they can together out of every little nook and cranny, out of everyone's pockets, out of anybody with their hand out. Uh, all these people with no qualifications, podcasters getting positions of political power, and all of them making money hand over fist. And not just them, again, also, why do you think all the prices of things don't go down? Why are they going up? Why is price gouging going up? Because it's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not even Trump's. Well, Trump doesn't control inflation. Okay. These companies are raising prices mostly because all of this has a fucking shelf life. And they know that eventually shit's going to shift. So they're going to take everything they can and make as much money as they can right fucking now, because the bottom is going to fucking drop out.
Oh, yeah. We're heading towards horrible economic times,
everybody's
folks.
in for the money as much as they can. Scoop all of it up, because there won't be any.
Yeah. This may be my longest section. I will try and go through as much as possible. This may easily, and I think it will easily be defined as the most corrupt administration in American history. Let's start. 3 days before taking office, on January 17th, 2025, the Trump coin debuted, creating an instant way to funnel money to the president. Not only does Trump retain 80% of the coins minted, he makes a commission off of every sale. The coin price jumped 300% the first day, becoming the 19th most valuable crypto coin in the world, though it crashed immediately afterwards. While Trump is estimated to have earned at least $350 million in fees, his percentage of the coins could put his worth in the tens of billions. 2 days later, the Melania coin was issued. Let's see. April 2025, Trump offered a private dinner and White House tour to the top holders of his coin, guaranteeing, for a price, dinner in the ear of the president himself. Oh, let us not forget the $400 million jet from Qatar for the library. In May 2025, UAE-backed investment fund announced a $2 billion investment in a crypto exchange deal that would use cryptocurrency from World Liberty Financial. That's Trump, his sons, and his friends' company. Steve Witkoff there. Significant stake in World Liberty Financial. Approximately 2 weeks later, the Trump administration permitted the UAE to purchase hundreds of thousands of advanced computer chips. This decision raised national security concerns. Some worried that chips would eventually be accessed by China, who has close ties with the UAE, and that's one of the reasons why these chips were not being allowed to be sold outside of the United States, except for specific areas. The $40 million Melania documentary that Jeff Bezos bought. Yeah, that was great. At Trump's inauguration, some of the wealthiest men in the world, including Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and more, sat right behind Trump. Most contributed, again, to his library, and all of them have seen benefits from those contributions. In February 2025, Trump issued an executive order to Payam Bondi to pause all new and existing investigations under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which basically says you can't bribe foreign companies or countries for business. And the Trump administration went, no. Go ahead. We don't mind. Oh, this is one of my favorite. Following a $1 million donation to a pro-Trump super PAC, Elizabeth Fago attended a fundraising dinner at Mar-a-Lago, and Donald Trump subsequently pardoned her son, Paul Wolzak. The pardon, issued in April 2025, relieved Wolzak of an 18-month prison sentence and a $4.4 million restitution payment for tax crimes. And that is just one example of numerous pardons tied to donations or meme coin purchases, including January 6th defendants. In June, a report was released showing that Trump's federal pardons and clemency grants could wipe away more than $1.3 billion in payments to victims and the federal governments. Because when you pardon them, the restitution fees that they have to pay, no more. For the easy price of $1 million, you could save multiple millions in fees. Oh, Tom Homan was caught. All right. Tom Homan was caught by the FBI taking $50,000 in bribes in cash on tape. Of course, that was dismissed by Kash Patel's FBI. Let's see. Musk alone not only had his carte blanche to release his Doge group on the executive branch after funding Trump to the White House, he also gained multiple valuable contracts for SpaceX and his Starlink satellite internet service. The DOJ also dropped an anti-discrimination complaint against SpaceX and fired FDA staffers reviewing Musk's Neuralink applications. Also fired 18 inspectors general and the head of the Office of Government Ethics, and fired FBI personnel that worked on cases against Trump and prosecutors on the January 6th attacks. Just a few things. Again, just the tip of the frickin' iceberg with this guy. And finally, number 14, fraudulent elections. Elections in the form of plebiscites or public opinion polls were usually bogus. When actual elections with candidates were held, they were usually perverted by the power elite to get the desired results. Common methods included maintaining control of the election machinery, intimidating and disenfranchising opposition voters, destroying or disallowing legal votes, and as a last resort, turning to a judiciary beholden to the power elite. Look, Trump has complained about fraudulent elections since even before his election. Every election is fraudulent. If he wins, then he overcame the fraudulence. And if he lost, then, of course, that can only be because everyone was against him. He has never publicly acknowledged that he has lost the 2020 election. They are still pursuing that is fraudulent. He is using government resources now to try and back that up, even though his own guy in charge of elections said that the 2020 election was the most secure election. They have since, of course, pushed for the fake illegal votes, pushed for voter IDs. They purged voter rolls, complaints against the veracity of vote by mail, and anything and everything to undermine elections, reduced intimidating voters. That's what ICE is going to be doing next year. And of course, we're already talking about the redistricting that's happened in Texas and is now with several other states that will just throw the Voting Rights Act away and ensure that Republicans have safe and secure districts. This is removing any of your election powers. Again, people don't choose their representatives these days. The representatives choose their electors by redistricting and ensuring that only their party will control the election in that district.
What a wonderful world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and all the ways that that they're going to come up with ways to try to make sure that the elections that are coming up, they're going to try to, they're going to try something to keep them from even happening.
Yeah. So look, these are 14 points that are the signs on the road to fascism. I think we have blown every one of these points out of the water with examples to support each and every one of them. Is Donald Trump a fascist? I don't know what his own personal political philosophy is. I personally just think his philosophy is whatever serves Donald Trump. He's definitely an autocrat. And fascism is an autocratic form of government. But I can definitely tell you his policies are fascist. Is he a Nazi? No, of course not. Nazis were a political party in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. He's an American brand of fascist, an American Christian techno-fascist, nationalist. It is a particular American breed, a particular American taste of fascism. Don't say that we're not against Jews, because a lot of MAGA is against Jews. You're still going to hold those anti-Semitic, but they keep that down. They want to be supporters of Israel. And it's easier to go against, well, brown people. A lot of brown people in the United States. Mexicans, South Americans, Guatemalans, El Salvadorians. You got dark-skinned people. You got blacks. You got anyone that is not looking like this is it's there's always going to be an enemy. There has to be, because that's how you maintain emergency powers. For history buffs, I will give you an idea. Communism has never existed in the world. The Soviet Union was not communist. They practiced what was known as wartime communism. That was a particular brand of communism where all of these powers are focused to the central government because we are fighting a war. We are in emergency circumstances, and therefore the central government controls the power. Regular communism, it's all distributed. But authoritarians don't like that. And you can color it with any political ideology that you want. But because of those emergency powers, they were able to centralize their control. And that's what we have right here. For the tariffs, those are all under emergency economic powers. You know, I declared an emergency at the southern border so we could use emergency wartime powers. What he's going up against, even his call for the troops, the National Guard, is emergency powers in order to fight waves of crime, invasions in our city, as he has said. The emergencies must be maintained in order to keep the power centralized, which is why I say this never ends. And even Rob was mentioning, it always consumes itself, because there always has to be more. There always has to be a problem. There always has to be an enemy. There always has to be a reason to justify this collection of powers. And when you gather that under an authoritarian regime that uses the military and nationalism and identity and patriotism to try and support its voice, that is fascism. While I was going through a lot of this stuff, especially the attacks that were happening recently in Chicago and the invasion of the apartment complex, which please look into. It is one of the most horrific fucking things that I've seen lately. I ran into a quote. Terrible things are happening outside. Poor, helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. Families are torn apart. Men, women, and children are separated. Children come home from school to find that their parents have disappeared. That's from the diary of Anne Frank, in an entry dated on January 13th, 1943, describing what is happening outside of the small window she could see the world in, hiding from the Nazis in Germany. And the fact that that sounds exactly like today, I don't think this needs to be underlined any more than right that. If you cannot distinguish a description of the horrors of Nazi Germany to the horrors that are happening in America right now, we're not at the entry gates for fascism, folks. We are well down that road. And we should call things for what they are. We are being assaulted by a fascist government that is undermining our democracy, that is taking away our individual freedoms and painting itself as a holier-than-thou center of power and authority. And I cannot think of anything more anathema to the America that I grew up in and the ideals of freedom that I personally still espouse. I don't have much more. Is there anything you want to add on top of that?
You dropped the mic. I can't even. Like this is what it is. And every day it's something else and something worse. And again, until people are like, it's not going away, and we can sit here and rock ourselves to sleep in the fetal position like so many people did. Think about how many people couldn't even get out of bed during 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that here. We can't afford to be sitting waiting for it to happen. It's already happening.
And that is why we are doing this podcast. This is why we are doing this show. This is why the Outer Rim exists. Because two white guys can be the voice that other people cannot be. Okay? There are reasons why you see a lot of old white people at protests. Why? Because they are protecting the minorities, where if they showed up, would be permission for things to get more violent. It's harder to go against old white grandpa than it is against a couple of young black kids that are also holding the exact same protest sign. Or a couple of Latin kids where you can just have ICE scoop them up and maybe they check their citizenship, or maybe they just deport them. Maybe they just throw them in some unknown prison somewhere in the middle of frickin' Texas. The fact that they have reopened the concentration camp in Texas that was used during World War II to house Japanese prisoners or American citizens that were being interned because we were afraid that they might do something. Americans that had done nothing other than be Japanese. And they've reopened that particular camp in Texas in order to house the new wave of migrants and undesirables. And that's why we are here. That's why we are making these shows, because we're a couple of white guys, and therefore we can stand up and talk about all these other freaking white guys who suck ass, who are making horrible choices, who are repressing the people that we know that we love and that we won't stand up for. So be sure to like and subscribe, folks. I'm going to leave you with, doing all this has been kind of depressing. And doing shows like this is kind of a way that we fight back. In fact, art is the way. Why did they suppress art? Because the art is the thing that can stand up and fight against oppression better than anything. How do you fight oppressors? You mock them. You dress like clowns and stand next to them so you can show them how ridiculous they are. You have people in giant frog costumes and dinosaur costumes dancing in front of them to show them the ridiculousness that they are. And after doing all of this, I had to do something similar.
And this isn't even this is his. What you're going to see is his. You haven't even seen mine.
Yeah. You will in future.
Of things that we put together that express a lot of our feelings right now. And
so, yeah. We'll be ending Outer Rim pods with some personal commentary in one form or another. But for this one, I'm just going to leave you with a little thing that I needed to put together to keep my sanity, to stand up against fascism, and do it in a classical way, reminiscent of protests of old. So we'll leave you with that. And in the meantime, for the Outer Rim pod, I'm Darren Jakes.
And I'm Rob Stone. And the reason we're saying like and subscribe is because if you want more people to talk like us, and we want to do more with this, there's a lot we can do with this. This isn't about money. We are not monetized, clearly.
Yeah.
And we do not ever plan on really monetizing. Okay? This.
We don't swear like sailors.
YouTube. We are out in the middle of we call it the Outer Rim because we're out in the middle of nowhere. But it's important to like and subscribe, to spread the word. We need more voices. I want this to maybe inspire somebody else who is sitting there going, I want to say something, but I don't know how to start. I'm afraid. This is to help other people open their mouths too. So that's, Smirking Gun has always been a place where I want to inspire people to talk about other things. Find your voice. I've said this for years, and this is just another thing that I want to inspire you all to speak your mind, speak your truth, get on a soapbox and scream your head off. But do it. And that's why, I'm saying, this is Rob from Smirking Gun. Like, subscribe, and enjoy what Darren put together for the end of this video. And we'll see you on the next one.
And in the words of legendary newsman Edward R. Murrow, good night and good luck.
And watch out for Nazis.
From past a little mushroom Dick Miller's a Nazi-loving prick. Excess on drunken bed rest, and all the bromen like Homan are ick. Gnomes out, shooting her puppy dead. Monty has nothing in her head. J.E. says better thank me, and we call not nickel, not lick instead.